Biomes. What abiotic and biotic factors characterize biomes? Biomes are described in terms of abiotic factors like climate and soil type, and biotic factors like plant and animal life. Latitude and the heat transported by winds are two factors that affect climate. Other factors, among them an area's proximity to an ocean or mountain range, also influence climate. In Oregon, cold currents that flow from the north to south have the effect of making summers in the region cool relative to other places in the same latitude. So, this ocean current. Oregon borders the Pacific Ocean, and moist air carried by winds traveling west to east is pushed upward when it hits the Cascade Mountain Range. This air expands and cools, causing the moisture in the air to condense and form clouds. Prevailing winds go up the mountain, condenses, forms clouds, and drops the moisture before it hits the east side. The clouds drop the rain and snow, mainly on the upwind side of the mountain as it goes up. As the air sinks in the downwind side of the mountain, it expands, warms, and absorbs moisture. As a result, western and eastern Oregon have very different regional climates, and different climates mean different plant and animal communities. Ecologists classify Earth's terrestrial ecosystems into a list of 10 different groups of regional climate communities called biomes. Biomes are described in terms of abiotic, like climate and soil type, and biotic factors like plant and animal life. Major biomes include tropical forests, tropical dry forests, tropical grassland, savanna, and shrubland, desert, temperate grassland, temperate woodland and shrubland, temperate forest, northwestern conifer forest, boreal forest, and tundra. Looking at this map, we can see the area of many of these biomes. We are in a temperate forest here in Florida. In the northwest was conifer forest, and that's temperate forest also. Tropical rainforests. Tropical rainforests are home to more species than all the other biomes combined. Rainforests get at least 2 meters of rain a year. Tall trees form a dense, leafy covering called a canopy from 50 to 80 meters above the forest floor. In the shade below the canopy, shorter trees and vines form a layer called the understory. Understory plants compete for sunlight, so most have large leaves that maximize capture of limited light. Tropical dry forest. Tropical dry forests grow in areas where rainy seasons alternate with dry seasons. In most places, a short period of rain is followed by a prolonged period of drought. Some plants also have an extra thick, waxy layer on their leaves to reduce water loss, or they store water in their tissues. Some trees survive the dry season by seasonal loss of leaves. A plant that sheds its leaves during a particular season is called deciduous. A tree that keeps its leaves all year is called evergreen. Many animals in this area survive drought by entering a long periods of inactivity called estivation. Estivation is similar to hibernation, but typically takes place during a dry season or a time of day. For example, a snail will curl in and hide during a hot day. Other animals, including birds and primates, will migrate to areas where water is available during the dry season. Tropical grassland, savanna, shrubland. This biome receives more seasonal rainfall than deserts, but less than tropical dry forests. Grassy areas are spotted with isolated trees and small groves of trees and shrubs. Some grasses have a high silica content that makes them less appetizing to grazing herbivores. Unlike most plants, grasses grow from their bases, not from their tips, so they can continue to grow after being grazed. Many animals migrate during the dry season in search of water. Some smaller animals burrow and remain dormant during the dry season. Desert and snow desert. Deserts have low precipitation and variable temperatures. Their soils are rich in minerals, but poor in organic material. Many plants, including cacti, store water in their tissues and have small leaf surface area, which reduces water loss. Cactus spines are actually leaves. Some plants open leaf pores only at night to exchange oxygen for carbon dioxide, enabling plants to conserve moisture in hot, dry days. Many desert animals get their water they need from the food they eat. To avoid the hottest parts of the day, many animals are nocturnal, active only at night. Large or elongated ears and other extremities often have many blood vessels close to the surface to help animals lose body heat and regulate body temperature. Temperate grasslands. Plains and prairies once covered vast areas of midwestern and central U.S. Periodic fires and heavy grazing by herbivores maintain grassland plants. Today, most have been converted to agriculture because their soil is rich in nutrients and is ideal for growing crops. Temperate grasslands experience warm to hot summers and cold winters with moderate seasonal precipitation. The soil is fertile and there is an occasional fire. Camouflage and burrowing are two common protective mechanisms for animals. Temperate woodlands and shrublands. In open woodlands, large areas of grasses and wildflowers are interspersed with oak and other trees. Communities that are more shrubland than forest are known as chaparral. Dense, low plants that contain flammable oils make fire a constant threat. Temperate forests. Temperate forests are mostly made up of deciduous and evergreen coniferous trees. Coniferous trees, or conifers, provide seed-bearing cones and most have needle-shaped leaves coated in a waxy substance that helps reduce water loss. Temperate forests have cold winters. In autumn, deciduous trees shed their leaves. In the spring, small plants burst from the ground and flower. The fertile soils are rich in humus, a material formed from decaying leaves and other organic matter. Boreal forest. Dense forests of coniferous evergreens along the northern edge of the temperate zones are called boreal forest or taiga. Winters are bitterly cold, but summers are mild and long enough to allow the ground to thaw. Boreal forests occur mostly in the northern part of the northern hemisphere. The word boreal comes from the Greek word north. Boreal forests have long, cold winters and short, mild summers. Tundra. The tundra is characterized by permafrost, a layer of permanently frozen subsoil. During the short, cold summer, the ground thaws to a depth of a few centimeters and becomes soggy. In winter, the top layer of soil freezes again. The cycle of thawing and freezing rips and crushes plant roots. It's one of the reasons that tundra plants are small and stunted. What areas are not easily classified in a major biome? Because they are not easily defined in terms of typical community of plants and animals, mountain ranges and polar ice caps are not usually classified into biomes. Mountain ranges exist on all continents and in many biomes. On the mountains, temperate precipitation, exposure to wind, and soil types all change with elevation, and so do organisms. If you climb the Rocky Mountains in Colorado, for example, you begin in grassland. You then pass through pine woodland and then a forest of spruce and other conifers. Thickets of aspen and willow trees grow along stream beds in protected valleys. Higher up, soils are thin. Strong winds buffet open fields of wildflowers and stunted vegetation resembling tundra. Glaciers are found at the peaks of many ranges. Polar regions border the tundra and are cold year-round. Plants are few, though some algae grow on snow and ice. Where rocks and ground are exposed seasonally, mosses and lichens may grow. Marine mammals, insects, and mites are the typical animals. In the north, where polar bears live, the Arctic Ocean is covered with sea ice, although the sea fluctuates, receding and returning in long cycles. In the south, the continent of Antarctica is covered by ice nearly 5 kilometers thick in places.